learn it in a point of view of problem first and then solution and then solution. So this is very important. This is a bit off topic, but still because it's important, so I just want to explain it to you. Any topic, be it back end, front end, any computer science topic, or even any real life topic, or anything else. This is the best trick I have found so far in order to learn something so that it is stick in your mind. You never forget it. Always, whenever you learn a concept, let's say TRPC, right? I have coined a concept like TRPC. So let's say someone gave you a topic, TRPC. You have to learn about TRPC. Let me open up Chat GPT as well. Uh, okay. I hope there is not any kind of weird history of Chat GPT. Uh, Let me open here. There are too many things related to even company and all that, so I don't want to get into trouble. But let's open Lee Chat. It is same as Chat GPT, right? I was here TRPC, right? So how most of the time, 99.99% of the time, when you open up YouTube or any teacher, 99% of the time, how they will teach you TRPC or any XYZ concept that they will simply like that. Okay, so what is PRPC? Anyone you ask, any tutorial you open on YouTube, this is how they will teach you. PRPC is a type safe remote procedure code framework designed for building and blah blah blah. Nothing. You will not even understand. What does that even mean? I mean, what is this type safe remote procedure call? I mean, what the fuck this is? How can I make sense of that? So this is a very wrong approach. We learn things. So never learn like that. Always learn from a problem first approach. Problem first, and this is here the problem here is we are learning the solution first. TRPC is a solution of something, right? There was a problem before TRPC people were facing. So one person came into the picture and she said, okay, I am going to solve this problem using my solution. And that solution was TRPC. So you don't directly jump into solution, because if you directly into solution, you will not able to make sense of it. Other Obviously, unless you memorize all of that bullshit. So so how do you learn? Let me. I have some time ago. I have written a very good uh, prompt. Yes. So these are prompts I have written down, and they've helped me a lot. Okay. So this is the first version of it. So when I ask you something, for example, what is use memo or performance for performance, follow this pattern. First start with explaining the problems in details we face without the given concept, like we face without TRPC, or in this case, use memo or use callback in React. For example, unnecessary API calls on render, etc. Then boil down the root cause of the problem. Like, so the root cause is we are making calls when we don't need on every renders. Okay, so this is the solution. So I'm basically telling the chat GPT, first, explain me the problem of given concept. Don't just go like TRPC, remote procedure call, and these heavy concepts. That doesn't make any sense. So first go with the problem, then come with an intuition, like how the person who was facing that problem came with that intuition. Okay, so I should be thinking of a solution that would remove the pain point of Express.js, or integrating the front end with back end. So this is in this prompt, this is what I'm explaining to chat gpt, and then follow this natural chain of thought order while explaining things. That is basically uh, cause and effect thing. So one thing happened, and then the second thing happened, and then the third thing happened. So this is how we remember things. See, if I tell you, let's say a random piece of information, something like that. Wait a second. So let me to both of you, Dakshantara. If I tell you to remember this line, GraphQL requires a schema and client code generation, which can be overkill for smaller projects. Uh, you guys have to remember this line. Okay. And if I tell you, and what do you guys think? For how many? I mean, how long you guys be able to remember this line? And I can bet 100 rupees on that. You won't be able to tell me the exact line, or not even the meaning of it. If I ask you the same line tomorrow, you will not able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because and the reason of it is that because it's a random piece of information. It's not connected to anything. It's not connected to anything in your mind. So it's random piece of information that is floating around, and you cannot, if you cannot connect it with something you already have in your mind, then you are not going to learn it. That's the simple psychology fact that most of the people ignore. So let's come back to this prompt. So I use this refined version. So I'm going to use that, and I will be sharing the link of this repo so you can use that too. So whenever you learn something, just copy this prompt, go to chat, always open a new chat and type it out. So also, if you have time, then please read this prompt at least once or twice so that you can make sense of what it is asked for. You can customize it as well. And just write down the prompt, click OK. Don't do anything as of now. Don't ask anything as of now. Let it let it customize itself. Okay. So uh, okay, so to just started. Yeah. Let's take that example itself. Okay. So let's use our own example. What is 2 RPs? Okay, so now let me start explaining it. Okay, so here it is the first thing. It started with a problem. It didn't started. It doesn't started blogging your mind with unnecessary those heavy concepts like procedure call and whatever. So it started with a simple problem that people were facing. So there was a messy divide between front and back end. There was a kind of bridge between back end and front end. So imagine you are building a restaurant app, and the front end is waiters and back end is chefs. So the front end takes orders from customers and display the menu, and back end they cook the food and they manage the kitchen. Sorry. And so, how do they communicate? This is the best thing. In the prompt, I have defined that you should ask a question. You shouldn't be like, we do this. You should first ask why we do need this. So what do we have to do now? Or what do we have to do next? So, and this is also very important tip for both of you, that ask, learn to ask questions, as many questions as you can ask. Always ask questions. Whatever you see, like front end, whatever, I'll always ask. I'll ask the questions because that is how you will be wired to solve problems. Okay. So now if the ask, like, how do they communicate? Like that's the most intuitive thing, like how the waiter and chefs will communicate. So the traditional way, see the magic. It doesn't, it is still not introduce you, it is still not annoyed you with those heavy terms, those unnecessary floating piece of information, right? You already know this information. You already know there is a front end and there is a back end, right? And you also know that how do we communicate, right? You have a basic idea. We make up API calls, we hit the endpoints and all that. So traditionally, waiters shout orders to chef, and chef yell back to when the food is ready. So that happens. If you guys don't know, then I used to work in a hotel. I was the front office executive kind of bullshit. So, and I in a hotel, and I have seen this exact thing. Like the waiter used to shout uh, to the chef that paneer tikka ka order laga do. And whenever the order was ready, the chef used to yell back to the waiter, "Oh, order lag gaya, ye le ja." Something like that. So so that is, and now there is a problem in that. Like there is a pain point. So first of all, too many menus. So waiters need a giant manual to know what dishes exist and how to order them. So that and basically it means there are too many endpoints. So the too many endpoints. So, okay, so the problem is, let's say in your menu, there are 100 dishes. Now, for the waiter, if he's the kind of person who is like me, actually hate remembering or memorizing things, then it's totally done for him. It's the last job he can do. So, imagine the horrible situation he will be in. Like he has to remember 100 things. Anyone come to his restaurant and he asks like, "What do you want to eat?" And have you guys seen some waiters who you just ask them, what is available, and they start kind of a like, I mean, I don't know, just tape recorder kind of thing, paneer tikka, paneer masala, ye falana dhimkana. Have you guys ever seen that? Okay, sometimes in movies and sometimes in real thing. So, that's the problem. He has to remember so much thing. So same case happens in backend. Let's say your backend provide 100 features, and now your front end needs to know, okay, what are those 100 features? Only then it will be able to provide those features to the user. So that was the actual pain point. That was the actual uh, what we say, a thing that used to hurt a lot. And second thing is miscommunication, obviously, but I have explained it here. In my case, the chef and the waiter used to fight a lot. Sometimes he used to kick waiters. So the miscommunication happened a lot. So in front end and back end case as well. So waiters might ask for extra cheese, but chef interpret it as a double cheese. Okay, so that is the most realistic thing that I have seen. He used to say kind of paneer tikka and veg kind of thing, and the uh, chef used to make it like non-veg, and they used to getting fight again. So that this has happened in front end and back end as well. Like I don't know what kind of so let's say there is a get pj endpoint, but when you will contribute to bigger code bases, let's say there is a search project, okay, this functionality. But when opensox.ai will scale, there will not be only one endpoint like that. There will be lots of endpoints. There can be get projects, there can be uh, find projects. Okay, so there can be n number of such endpoints. Uh, so they're really confusing. We can easily miscommunicate our front end. Instead of, let's say I'm coding my front end, and instead of doing it search projects, I do it find projects, and it does not provide me the functionality that I want. So miscommunication happen a lot when our front end and back end are totally depend on a separate bridge that happen in a traditional way. Second thing is there is a boilerplate overload. So waiters like long orders for every dish. So that is the pain point. Obviously, as a programmer or as a coder, we hate writing more code. The best programmers I have read a code once that the good programmer write code and the best programmer delete the code. So that's the difference. The less the code, the less we have to manage and the less bugs it will produce. So the less is better, the less code we write. So in case of front end and back end, what used to happen is, and this is the traditional approach most projects still use, we have to call our backend like that. Then we have to get the response. We have to then render it. So it used to cause a lot of code maintenance, time, bugs, and a lot of things. So that was one of the problem as well. And also it comes type safety. If we are doing it in Express.js and Next.js, the Express.js as a server and Next.js as a front end. Let me show you. Okay, so let's say let's imagine this is not using PRPC and they are doing it in Express.js and this is in Next.js. Then we will have to write types here, then here. So that is another pain point. And real-time updates, if the chef adds new dish, waiters won't know wait till they check the menu again. So that is also one really hectic problem. So basically, let's say I've added new endpoints here. I've added a couple of more endpoints. So now the front end needs to know, okay, what kind of new endpoints are adding. So, and you guys have noticed that so far we have not discussed TRPC, right? We have not discussed TRPC. All we're discussing is what are the available options before TRPC. So now, even now, we will not discuss TRPC. Okay, we are going to root cause. Okay, so what does all these problems means? So we are going to root cause, and these core issues are front end and back end are separate worlds. That was the real problem. I mean, we have to manage the front end at one place. Even in monorepo, we have to, they are separate. So that is the root cause of the problem because they are separate. So we have to add them through a bridge. That is called API calls. Different languages. Okay, so there can be different languages. In this case, it is both in TypeScript, but sometimes the backend is in Golang and this is in TypeScript, or it's in Python, or this is in Next.js. So that happens too. And in that case, it increases our problems 10 times, I guess. No shared understanding. So these are the root causes. Manual syncing. We have to do manual things like uh, manual creation of endpoints, runtime errors, and boilerplate code. We have basically each time for each endpoint, we have to write a code like that. So if we have 100 endpoints, then our front end will have to write these things 100 times. And that is really kind of boring thing, and also it produces many errors. So these were the root cause. So now the question is, see the beauty of this. Fuck. I hope, I really pray that I don't upload this video on YouTube, otherwise I will be cancelled. Okay. So see that is the beauty of this prompt. It still and it will lead you. It will lead you to the solution very step by step, very natural way, so that you remember things. So now the question is, what if waiters and chef spoke the same language, used the same menu, and could instantly sync updates, no shouting or no manuals needed? Basically, their manuals means no endpoints needed. Uh, what if the chef, sorry, the waiter already know what kind of menus are there, and he doesn't have to remember those 100 dishes. So this is same like TRPC, what TRPC does. So now, so here comes TRPC. And now, so that is the best way of understanding things. We understood the problem, we understood the root cause, we understood the intuition as well. Like, uh, I mean, what kind of question the person who invented TRPC might have asked to himself or herself. I'm not going to do biased. So the solution is TRPC. So TRPC is like giving waiters and chefs a shared digital menu and walkie-talkie. So basically, they can sync very easily. Just one language, shared types, and no boilerplate. Okay, so this is how we query TRPC. So what we do is in TRPC, we define, I don't know what we call those, either functions or methods, like procedure. Okay, okay. They call it procedure. Okay, so this is most. See, I'm not very sure because I used to, I did TRPC a long time ago, so I'm not very sure. So I can make mistakes. So sorry for that if I do so. But uh, my whole point is to make you understand the intuition, not the syntax or not these details, because these details are your work, because you will have to understand these things, right? So, let me go back. Okay. So type safety. So here, what we do in TRPC, there's the in backend. This is how we define our backend. You write API logic once in TypeScript. So, and TRPC generate a shared TypeScript definition for both front end and backend. So that is the beauty of TRPC. And here is that we use schema validation. So we use Zod for that. And we define with like TRPC dot procedure, and uh, this is how we define endpoint in TRPC. So we can simply use it like that without calling endpoints. And so when we do it in endpoint, uh, this is how we can uh, access that endpoint. So here we defined get pizza, and here we will do trpc dot get pizza and query. So initially we were doing this like that. We were defining this API endpoint, and then we were passing this data here. I want a large pizza, I want cheese on it. So and here we are passing it like that. So I think you can understand it. It's pretty apparent that you can understand what is the big difference between this code and this code. So it's pretty simple code. No need to write verbose code to both front end and back end. Okay, so this is the benefit of TRPC. We define our endpoints like that, and our procedure, that is, I would call it above. I understand it as a function, and then we directly use that function in our front end. Simple. No need to define endpoints. No need to use fetch method. No need anything. You don't need anything. Also, they come with built-in type safety, so you don't need to define types as well. That's the best thing, and it is written here, no fetch boilerplate. TypeScript auto completes size and keys, checks their types. So they automatically define their types. And another benefit is backend. They handle the order. So basically, it is already input is already validated. So this is another thing. I mean, this is they use it using Zod and all that. Uh, okay, and real time updates, obviously. So front end automatically know about it. No need to update separate docs. No, we don't have to update the docs. And here it made some uh, comparisons as well. Like so, you will that is the conclusion of everything that we explained here in this our uh, prompt. Most of the times, I don't see these are the kind of things that can't be explained in very short time or in a very short text. So most of the time, I never get the time to explain these things to either on Twitter or anywhere else. You guys are the first people, I guess, I'm explaining these kind of things. And one interesting thing is that I learned these things on my own. I mean, I just used to think that, I mean, I'm not, I tried very hard to understand things, but everything used to go up from my mind because they were smaller pieces of information that doesn't make sense. But this way, you have a clear reason to remember this. So now, whenever someone, let me change it so that I don't cheat. So now, whenever someone asks you, okay, why use TRPC over traditional front end and back end? So the intuition, that natural intuition, will always directly come to your mind. Okay, so what we were doing before TRPC, we had a traditional front end and back end, traditional front end and back end, and what was the problems in those? Like the communication, it was really hectic thing. We have to define endpoints, and if we have 100 endpoints, then will have to have 100 fetch calls in our front end. And the third pain point was types. We have to define types explicitly to both front end and back end. And the fourth problem was like uh, kind of verbose code. We have to write boilerplate code. If we have 100 things, 100 endpoints, then we are going to write those 100 such logic. And the more code, the more bugs, the more maintenance. So these were the problems. And there, So what should be the solutions? The solution can be like, why not just, how do we do in a traditional backend? We define, let's say an endpoint like that, this search project. And then most of the times we have a, let's say, as a simple function like search, uh, search project, search project. And then inside this endpoint, we use this function, right? We do it.
Yeah.
So this is the traditional approach we do it. So the person who might have thought about TRPC, so she thought, why not just, why we using this bullshit? Why not just directly use this function? I mean, I have to. This function is the core feature, na? We are using this function through this endpoint. So what does this endpoint doing between my core logic in backend and the front end that is that want that logic? So that was the problem, and that guy removed this thing. So and when he removed this thing, it simplified everything. It simplified those fetch calls. And now we don't have to make those calls. We don't have to define types to multiple places, and uh, we don't. There is very less code, so less bugs and all that, right? So this kind of so this is how you learn in an intuitive way. You don't learn like this way, that you don't directly go to YouTube tutorial and start watching it. Okay, what is TRP? So let me try to do it one in front of you so that I can show you that that is the problem with most of the tutorial. TRPC. I I don't know whether you guys will be able to share it or not, but you still try.
TRPC, a way to build entirely type-safe APIs without the need of schemas or code generation. If you're building an API today, there are two main approaches, REST and GraphQL. But there's actually another less talked about approach called TRPC.
Okay, so this guy started with a bit better, but still he mentioned the whole context. You guys first understand the concept, then the coding, then the actual concept that you guys trying to learn. Don't learn it. My whole point is by to show you these tutorials. I'm not saying that I'm the perfect person who know a lot and who is the god of learning or whatever, but this is the approach that worked for me really well. So that's why I'm telling you. And if you guys try to experiment, then it will work for you as well. Uh, okay, so let me go back to it. So that was my whole point of how to learn. Obviously, it was out of what we were doing, but I thought it is important for you because in open source or in whole software engineering or career, you will have to learn at every hour or a minute. You're going to learn something new, be it whatever. So the flow that you guys will be following is you will take this prompt or whatever prompt you see we good. I suggest you to start with this one. So take this prompt, put it in a chat, a new chat, and then start prompting anything, like anything you want to learn. So this prompt basically contains everything and anything that I explained, the problem, the context, the intuition, and anything. So it contains everything. So you can just copy that, paste it, and then start learning. So learn it and then also try to revise it without looking at it. So that will be easy for you to grasp any concept. And it will be very handy when you will contribute to open source, because in open source, while contributing to open source, you have to learn a lot. We will be going to learn lots of ones, and you also have to learn fast. You cannot be like, I will learn it in a month, because till then someone else will be making contributions on your place. So that was my point, how to learn. So let's come back to the architecture. So